Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Dragons Tech-Free Drop-In, where we're going to be sharing a fun activity that you can do with the young people in your home to start that process of cultivating healthy tech habits at home. I'm here with my colleague Raquel Lhuillier, and we'll just briefly give an introduction to ourselves and some of the work that we do with What Color is Your Dragon? So I'm a clinical psychologist with a background in neuroscience, and my passion is trying to understand what we can do to support our brains to be healthy. And perhaps many of you out there have read the headlines and are being inundated by information that's telling us that some of these relationships we have to technology are perhaps not so healthy for our brains. And so that's what's driving me and some of my work with the dragons. Raquel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Tamara. I'm Raquel, I'm from Brazil, and the work with the dragons is amazing for all the family. It's a preventive approach. And the technology is a very important topic, and thanks to technology, we are here. So how to use technology in a healthy way for all the family. We have some big challenges in everyday life, and as our children are growing, we are learning together. So we need to learn how to use technologies, and the dragons are here to help us. Yes, Tamara?
Yeah, so let's quickly introduce the dragons because maybe there's some people watching that don't know the language of the dragons. And if you're interested to know more, I'll paste a link down below this video where you can buy the What Color is Your Dragon ebook, which goes into loads more details. But just briefly, so Raquel mentioned that it's because of technology that we're here today. And this activates my green dragon because I feel really good and happy and warm inside when I'm able to use technology to have conversations with people that maybe live far away from me, or I can communicate and share creativity and share photos with others. That really that just makes my green dragon come out. And of course, I need to use technology when I'm doing my work. So this is my emails and my planning and my spreadsheets and my documents, all the things that I need to do for my blue dragon, my drive and getting things done. But like many people out there, of course, sometimes technology brings me reds. And that's maybe when I notice that I'm kind of scrolling late at night on Instagram or social media. And then I maybe judge myself for that. And my red dragon comes out and says, "Oh, you're being really naughty, Tamara. You know that this isn't good for you. Why are you doing it?" Or perhaps there's some challenges with technology that make me go, want to throw my laptop out of the window. And perhaps some of you parents out there can identify with that. When we're in a relationship with technology, all three of our brain systems, drive, soothing, and threat, can be activated by technology. But Raquel, maybe you have some particular examples because I know that this is a lot of what you deal with in the clinic when you're working with children and their families. And maybe you can share a bit how you use the dragon language to have those conversations.
Yeah, we have so many challenges, and it's when you think about lunchtime or bedtime, or the kids are playing, are having fun, and then the daddy or mom is, okay, we need to finish, we need to stop because we need to go to school. And it's like, oh no, I want to do more of this, I want to play more, but okay, I need to go to school. And sometimes it's a big challenge because if the child is red, maybe the parents are getting red too. And there's this fighting moment and this two reds can solve the problem. So what can we do when these things happen? And in my experience for more than 20 years, I can notice that the bedtime is the time that everybody is really tired and need to rest. And at the same time, it's a very important moment where the families, where all the members of the families are together. So with technologies, it's a big red, it's a big red moment because we want to be together, we want to rest, but we need to do a lot of things and we need to organize the next day and the home and get some food and, So we have so many challenges when two reds dragon meet, like kids and adults. And yes, it's a very big challenge for all of us. And we know that when we need to eat or we need to rest, we are red. And how to hold our reds.
Yeah, and you identified there a couple of key points in the day where, challenges, particularly with removing technology, may increase the amount of red dragons, the
Mhm,
agitation, the tantrums, the screaming,
mhm.
mummy, I hate you, all that kind of strong emotions
Yeah.
can come out. And this is something as well that has been documented by the Royal College of Psychiatrists in some of their best practice guidelines for the management of technology and screen time with young people. And I'll paste that in the description below if people want to find that. But they particularly identified bedtime and also meal times as
Mhm.
moments where parents may want to be a bit firmer and a bit more disciplined about the management of technology. And this is because, to feed our green dragon, to be well, to be nourished, and to be nurtured, we need healthy eating and we need plenty of sleep. And we also need exercise. And those are three things that can be impacted when all of the focused attention, all of the blue dragon energy is with its head in the screen. So anything else you want to add there, Raquel?
Yes, I was thinking about when we can feed our greens, and like today, I could do my exercise, I could have my breakfast and take a shower, and then I could meet with you and take some notes and organize our technology and prepare our things to be here. It's so important. It's so great when you can have our first green, then blue dragon. Yeah, because they are always there, but there is some dragon that is going to be on the charge. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, what we wanted to share today with parents out there is one of the great sort of exercises or kind of creative ways to begin to have conversations about healthy technology use when we're all in the green mode, because it's quite hard to have these balanced, nuanced conversations when parents are in the red mode, child is in the red mode. And as Raquel said, this is a preventative approach where we want to begin to see the language of the dragons and this curiosity about the reality of how technology impacts on the body and mind. And our approach with the dragon method is, let's think about the brain. Let's have this understanding of the three different brain modes and how they appear in our lives as adults and for the children in our lives. But let's make fun and playful ways to give permission to talk about these topics and also some language to help us talk about these topics.
And
And
it's and
what
it,
I loved actually was when Raquel started telling me that in the clinic, she has a phone box where she asks parents and young people to put their technology so that you can really have focused attention and connection when you're doing your work with young people. So I'm going to share the picture that Raquel sent to me. And Raquel, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the setup that you've got in your clinic, because
Yeah.
that might give some ideas to the parents.
Yeah, there is an invitation like let's stop, pause, and slow down without Wi-Fi during this moment, during these 50 minutes, the time of the session. So what I could notice, it's a waiting room in my clinic. So the parents and the kids were, when they put the cell phone there and go to my office, it's a movement where they can do and really notice in their body and minds what is happening. If it, how can they notice in our minds and body to be far away from the cell phone? Like if I don't see, if I don't touch, what happened? What's happening with me? So I could notice that this movement is so important to do at our homes too. If I can put my cell phone far from me, like I'm going to eat something, I'm going to spend time with my family, or if I'm going to watch a movie, what happens in my body and my mind if I don't see and if I don't touch in my cell phone? So it's a movement that it needs to be in a very gentle way, like invitation, collaborative approach, and in the family. Mm.
Yeah, and what I suppose I like about that when I'm thinking about the brain and the neuroscience of habit formation and how we break habits, particularly with the phones, you know, so much of the habit is motor habits, picking up,
Mhm.
swiping. These are motor habits that are triggered by the notifications and the beeps and the bells and the stimulation of the phone. So from a neuroscience point of view, I would say it's really important that we include some aspect of breaking the motoric or the motor habits, which you do. So, you know, the very act of putting it in a box, putting the lid on the box, moving it away. So you've already broken several of the automatic chains in the habit formation just by doing that. And we, you know, sometimes we also play, don't we, Raquel, you know, that sort of slow motion walking, mindful walking to the box to even check, do I really want to use my phone now? Is this the phone? Is this the time for me to get the phone out? You know, so that's slowing down, the mindful walking, all of these different small but important techniques that can help us to make contact with, is this the right place and time for me to put my attention and my focus?
Mhm.
And we often talk, don't we, Raquel? And when we, let's jump into that now, we talk about values.
Mhm.
And so maybe, you know, when we came onto this call, didn't we? We did a little mini practice, and I'll guide a little mini practice now for those watching. We were really tuning into, why is this work important to us? You know,
Mhm.
why are we so passionate about sharing this? What are the motivations and the values that are feeding us and driving and holding our attention to deliver this and to share this with parents? So if you're a parent watching, let's take a micro pause now. And I like to just place hands on heart because I love not only using my thinking brain to get information, but also my body and my heart. And if it's possible, closing the eyes and taking a few breaths and beginning to tune in to the values that are important to you, that you really want to promote in your family, that may be getting overridden by some of the ways that technology is used in the home. So for some, it may be there's a value of connection and presence. And a feeling that when family members are on screens, that connection is lost. There might be a value about brain health or mental health, a deep, heartfelt desire for everyone in the family to be well. Perhaps some worries that screen time is getting in the way of that. What's important to me and my family? And kind of give a name or a label to that to really help me when we're trying to break habits, tune into something that's really a shared value in the home. Just taking maybe one more moment and maybe just gently massaging the heart if that feels nice for you, warming the heart up, tuning into that knowledge from the heart. Why is this important? Finishing with 3 breaths. And just perhaps making a note of what came up for you there. And I'm going to share a box that I did earlier. This was a course that I'm running with adults because guess what? Adults need help with this too. But for me, this was a box for putting my phone in. Just was a old biscuit box, some biscuits I got given at Christmas. And for me, actually, it was something about freedom. I was getting annoyed and worried and frustrated because I realized that the phone was capturing my attention and grabbing my attention, and I didn't feel like I was choosing. So, in order to improve my ability to focus on what's important for me, I captured here on my box, this value of freedom, because that will help to shape our attentional focus and where we place our energy. Raquel, do you want to add anything about either your experience of what are those really important values and motivations that you've come across?
Yeah, for me, it's to be present, like to really be present with my son. And yeah, because it's so easy for us to be in this place about anxiety, preoccupations, and it's not really noticing what is happening right now, like what about his needs and what about my needs. And in my work too, in my clinic, the most I can practice my presence. It's so important for my relationship with the kids and the families. Yeah, to be present.
So everybody will have something a little bit different here, and that's what we find when we're working with families is that the motivations can be very different. There's not really one size fits all, but I suppose a common one is something about connecting, real relating, deep relating, a desire to raise children that are able to relate to other human beings in healthy and skillful ways. And so we're going to jump in now to our sort of creative chat. And if you want to join in with us, what you're going to need, and maybe you need to pause the video if you're watching this online later on, is a box of some sort. And I'm just recycling some boxes. Actually, this is my Wi-Fi router box, so that feels appropriate. I can see Raquel has just found a little kind of basket there.
Yeah.
And one of the things to think about is maybe what do you want to put in your box? So I had this small one, which was just really for me, because I was working particularly with my phone. But you may want to think about larger devices like iPads, or you could have PlayStation controllers. And in the Screen Time with the Dragons program, this is one of the things we do. We map the home environment and all the different devices that are there, because you might want to start with some devices and build up to others. But yeah, Raquel, say something about your...
Yeah, because it can be like individual boxes or family boxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you
And
can have...
after this, yeah, after this conversation with the kids in a very gentle way, asking about their opinions and creating together with them. Yeah.
So, bare minimum, a box of some sort, a piece of paper, because we're going to decorate the box. So, basic decoration is something that I've done here, which is I've just put some words and colored them in, but you can get more fancy depending on your kind of creative skill set and the objects that you have around. But we're going to just start today with a simple piece of paper that fits and can be glued or taped onto your box. And if you've got some coloring in pens, or just a pencil initially, is all you need. And let's start with our piece of paper by capturing the values. So there might be one value that really stood out for you, that you really felt in your heart when you were doing that. And you can write it with words, as I've done here. Perhaps it's just words and some coloring in. But let's capture that. So I'm actually going to put connection on mine today. So just capturing in some way on that piece of paper the core value and let's just pop any judging monkeys to one side. Let's embrace this creative activity, as our youngsters will, with curiosity. And I'm just noticing that I'm about to misspell it. So connection, I haven't left enough space on the paper, but I'm dropping the judging monkey to try to give myself permission, yeah, to just capture there on my piece of paper why this is important. And maybe if you were doing this exercise with a young person beside you, it's then about bringing in some conversation. So Raquel, I mean, you've got to be present, but maybe you could work with connection. So what sorts of kind of questions or explorations would you be recommending there for parents if they want to talk about this? Hey, we want to be together. What does that mean, being together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wrote here like pause and rest, like for us and for the cell phone. And yeah, it's so important to really share with the children our needs too. I wanted to be more time with you. I wanted to read a book with you, and let's do something together. I'm going to the kitchen. Let's cook something together. It's so important, Tam. And
Okay, so
yeah.
as you're talking, I'm getting ideas, Raquel. So I've just drawn a little clock there. Yeah, so my big
Uh-huh.
value is connection. but I'm drawing a little clock there because it's like more time together
Yeah.
is super green dragon, isn't it? More time together is really green.
And creating things together or just relaxing, really relaxing together.
Yeah, so
Yeah, my
I'm trying to
you,
just draw as you're talking. So you spoke about, I'm going to capture this quickly. So you spoke about maybe reading a book is a
yeah,
lovely time to connect. Reading is a time to connect.
your presence is important for me.
Yeah. And then I'm going to draw this. You can't really tell what this is, but those are some, that's my drawing of some bean bags. We're just chilling out together, you know, doing nothing, just spending time together. And I guess what I love about that sort of free time together, yeah, time to pause and relax,
Yeah,
is that it's actually in those moments that we can be spontaneous, isn't it? That's when sort of spontaneity and the playfulness and the creativity can come out. If we can block some time where it's like we're doing nothing, you know, actually there's time to create, to imagine, and to share together. Yeah.
yeah, I like when you say about being spontaneous.
Yeah. So just give yourselves a moment there. If you've got some coloring in pens and you want to just make things a little bit more colorful. And I suppose if you're doing this with your youngsters, I really do suggest, you know, you could try this block writing. And even if your drawings are like, you don't like your drawings, making drawings is great because even if the young people are not wanting to kind of talk about things, you can give them the task of, you know, do you want to color in this sea? What color do you want to color it in? You know, okay, I'm going to color in the ends, you color in the C's. What are you doing there, Raquel?
Yeah, I'm trying to put this here, and I'm using the red and blue, sorry, green and blue, and I imagine the red is going to be here too.
Yeah, great. Talk us through what you're doing. So maybe there's some parents at home that are decorating. So I'm sort of more coloring in, and Raquel is
Yes,
going in for the decorating aspects.
yeah, coloring and decorating because I want to figure out how to do it. It's the
Yeah.
first time that I'm doing this kind of, it's not actually a box, but I think it fits in the place that we imagine it could be great for our living room. It's a good size.
Yeah. And I think I mean, what we're doing now is kind of part of the screen time program because actually what we do is we share with you these creative ways to start to have conversations with the young people in your life. And, you know, what many parents say they find helpful is that they sort of do the activity for themselves first in order to get a sense of, you know, well, what materials have I got? What materials are in the house? You know, if you've got budget, you know, you might want to buy something or you might want to buy some extra things. But much of what we're sharing is also about, you know, just what do I already have in the house? What boxes have I got? What bits of, so I've got some Amazon paper here. If you just want to recycle the paper, you don't want to buy paper,
Mhm.
recycle any boxes that you've got. So we do it ourselves as adults, you know, to figure out how to do it, to figure out what materials that we've got. And then we've sort of done a bit of a practice for when we want to go and do it with the youngsters. And if you've got a partner at home, you might be co-parenting, maybe might be mum and dad, could be dad and dad, could be mum and mum, could be dad and grandma, whatever is your family structure. If you do it together as adults, this is also great because you're going to get on the same page with the same language about why this is important. So that's one thing I really want to stress is give yourself permission to have fun and be playful as you explore for yourself as adults. Why are we going to bother with this? Why is this important? Have you come up with any
Mhm.
other kind of motivations or maybe moments in the day when connection is really important? Raquel, I want to see if I can add anything else to my pictures. I've got
Mm.
I love spending time with you. It's really green when we can be together. Let's take some time to read a book together. That's going to be super fun. And when we ask kids, Raquel, remember we did that workshop, what feeds your green dragon? And so many of the
Mhm.
youngsters said, I love it when mum and dad read to me.
Yeah, it's a
They
moment
just,
of connection, totally connection, and starting to relax the body. And it's one of the few moments that they can have with the parents together, really good together.
yeah. And I've just put down hugs there. Oh, you've added a beautiful heart.
Yeah, I was thinking about this hard pause that we did together. Like sometimes it's hard for me, it's red, how to manage some situations, and we can hold with some greens and create some ideas together with some blues and more greens. So I decided to include this illustration. Yeah. And it's so important, Sam, when we think about time with the kids, and if we don't have too much time, try to create some times and think about quality too, quality times with them, isn't? And it's about being present.
Yeah, I've just captured on mine something about time together is precious. And I think, what we hear so many parents say is, oh, they grow up so quickly. And this moment has been lost. And particularly, I mean, all moments with a child are precious, aren't they? But there's something about when they're really young and they're developing and they're growing so fast and they're changing so fast.
Yeah.
That's really special for kind of a parent to be present with that.
And so many blues that we need to manage all the time with them. Look, the colors are here too.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're kind of doing this exercise a little bit here in England, what we call Blue Peter style, which is kind of going through it a little bit more quickly than you might do,
Mhm.
because we want to just kind of show you the whole process. But just to kind of recap where we're at the moment is, we've got a box. I've kind of cut a piece of paper that will broadly fit on the box. We've tuned into what is the core value that's really important for our family. And then I'm sort of creating some pictures and some words and some phrases about why connection is important in our family. And if I'm sort of mom or dad doing this exercise, really recommend that the parents do this together, the caregivers do this together. And if you're doing it by yourself, this is already then a great piece of paper to take to your partner and see if they want to add anything, any words, any pictures, if they want to do some coloring in as well. So you can have that conversation as adults in order to then have you nicely warmed up and prepared for you to go and introduce this as a creative activity that you can do with your child. A reminder, we're not doing this exercise in a red moment. Yeah, we're doing this exercise in a really, playful green moment. As Raquel said, let's, should we do some activity together? You could even maybe make your own box as a parent and say, look, I've made this box for me. Because what I noticed is when I'm trying to get stuff done, my phone keeps capturing my blue dragon. And then it takes me longer to do my work. And then I have less time to spend with you, my darling. So, do you want to make one of these? You want to make one of these? Should we do one together for the family? And then you're in. But it's really in this playful, exploratory, and Raquel, you used the language of collaboration, didn't you? So maybe say a bit more about,
Yeah,
what are some tips
yeah,
with some phrases that parents can use around
yeah. And
collaboration?
modeling is so important, Tim. Modeling is so important in everything that we are doing in our daily lives. They are observing us, they are noticing. And of course, we need to say, we need to talk in a collaborative way, and we need to model what we say and what we do. So when I think about collaborative, I think about, okay, it's about collaboration, it's about learning together, it's about growing together, because all of us are growing as a family. And because if it doesn't have if it doesn't happen, we may be in this competitive, and who is saying that needs to do, should do, have to do, and it's in another way. We really believe that is this compassive approach, gentle approach. It's about learning and growing together in a non-competitive way.
Yeah, and I feel, I mean, I'm remembering our last workshop, Raquel, and we were struck, weren't we, by the bravery that it takes for parents to come into this topic. I remember one of the mums saying, like, it just feels so big,
Mm-hmm.
because actually you're asking me to reflect on my technology use. And, the phone was a lifesaver for me to get green, especially during COVID. Like, I just need to numb out a little bit because it's all too much. So bringing this co-learning style, I feel that's
Mm-hmm.
really helpful because, you know, we didn't grow up with this same
Yeah.
technology. We don't know what it's
Mm.
like. I don't know what it's like to be a
Yeah.
10-year-old with a phone. I didn't have that experience. I
Yeah.
don't know what it's like to be an 8-year-old with a phone. So we really have to bring that beginner's mind and try to really understand and be open, but at the same time bring these limits, start to open this conversation. And I remember there
Yeah.
was a mum that just said, look, I can't even imagine having this conversation with my child. Everything about this is just too red. What can I do? And my answer was, make your own phone box. You just sit at the table doing it. Don't even invite your child. It's
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
anything about the child. This is you having fun, making a box, and then maybe you could exaggerate it a little bit, but make sure your child sees you when you come to the dinner table, having the box on the side. Your child sees you every mealtime putting your phone in this box.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you use the language of modeling,
Yeah.
because this fresh little brains, they imitate and they mimic. Now, the side effect of that is that the mum is also going to get the benefits of these
Mm-hmm.
micro detoxes. And this will also enable her to be more present and focused with the child, and able to see where
Mm-hmm.
maybe are those little moments where I can just, encourage something different, or invite something different, or where I can notice more what's going on for my child and how their mind and body is responding to technology. So modeling, letting them see you as an adult having a different relationship to technology, even if it's just 15 minutes, right? Where they see you putting the phone in the box, putting the iPad in the box.
Mm.
So
And in this collaborative approach, we open conversations and we help them to think and feel and share so many information that they are always getting through technologies, because they can have a lot of informations, but they are going to really have this open space to share anxieties, to share things that they heard about, or doubts, or things that they are sure about. And it's an ongoing process, isn't it? Because we need to face that we are going to have a lot of challenge with our kids at home as they are growing, and we are growing, and we are learning. And we need to face that. We are going to face challenge in the, yeah,
I
with
just want
age
to
as they are
I
growing.
just want to check in if there's any of the parents that are kind of listening or having a go at making the box, whether there's any questions that we can answer. So please feel free to pop things in the chat. If you want to take the mic off, you can. We are just recording it with my face and Raquel's face because we didn't contract with people about showing their faces. So that's another important aspect that we cover in the Screen Time with the Dragons course is, how do we have these conversations about what to share, when to share. So in this environment, you can share in a more private way by asking questions in the chat, or if you do want to open the mic and share something and you're happy to do that, just pop your hand up and we'll see if we can get some dialogue. So yeah, there's somebody there that wants to share. Are you making a box, or what's your insights, or you've got some questions?
Yeah, I do have two questions. Like, how does the approach differ? Because I'm just thinking about my own child. Like, what if I have a child that is already so dependent on screens to self-regulate and entertain, and like it's almost like when they're at home, when they're not at school, when they're not at sleep, a very active friend and babysitter, and the reds that you spoke about are already very, very big. How do I wean a child like that off?
I mean, I'll say a bit about the preventative approach, and then maybe Raquel might want to add in. I mean, this is, unfortunately, this is the case for many parents. Our approach primarily is about prevention, because prevention is always going to be much, much easier than fundamentally trying to deal with an addiction. Yeah, an addiction is about finding soothing from distraction, and it's just really painful that this is the nth level of distraction. And what we sometimes call fake greens, isn't it, Raquel? It's kind of like there's a temporary green because the attention has been captured, but it's not really teaching self-soothing. I mean, where I would probably go with that is, again, the modeling, maybe bringing in some of the more discipline around the use of the boxes at bedtime and at meal times. And, for me as well, it's about teaching youngsters other ways to feel good. But Raquel, you might want to add in some of your insights
Yeah,
there.
it's very important, and because when we open this conversation and when we say that, okay, we need to think about another way, think about another routine for you and for us, we need to be there and really think with the kids what are the other options to really relax and enjoy life. And I really like when we can create like a pizza or a pie, like let's write and draw here the moments in your life. That moments are very important for you to grow in a healthy way. So we need a moment to rest, to sleep. We need a moment to eat some healthy foods. You need moment to study, go to school. You need moments to play with your friends and colleagues, like social moments. When we really draw and write like times in your life in one day that you have 24 hours, how many times do you have to take technologies and watch movies or play video games, you know? Okay, let's reorganize your routine, your schedule, and I can help you to think about it. So it's very important to show the kids that we are thinking about them and about their lives and health, and we can think in another ways to use technology.
Yeah, I mean, I think many adults could benefit from that exercise as well. So essentially, a pie, which is time divided into times of the day, and how much time of the day am I dedicating to, yeah, the blues, which is my school and the doing, the basic greens, I would call them, eating, showering, whatever other the exercise, and then what's left over where I can actually really enjoy using
Yeah,
technology and
yeah.
be playful with it.
And if the technology is, if you are avoiding things like playing a sport or go to some friends' school, well, isn't a problem. And so start some reflections. And we really need to be careful that the kids can't feel that they are a problem or they have a problem that they created. It's something, using technology, it's something about what we as a family and adults started to do, and we didn't notice. We didn't noticing what was growing with this kind of use. We didn't notice and could imagine that could be an abuse of technology. You really need to be compassionate with ourselves and the kids.
I'm not sure if that fully answers the question, but was there a second question, a follow-up question that you wanted to ask, or reflections on that? How does that sound?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it could still work. I guess just if the child is already a lot more, in inverted commas, addicted, that the process would just have to potentially be like slower and gentler to kind of wean them off now, because cold turkey wouldn't work, would it?
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on the age. I mean, I think Raquel and I were talking about some of the more hardcore programs in the States, where they do actually go cold turkey, and they're taking particularly teenagers off to sort of wilderness camps for 8 weeks of total detox from technology. And they're making some quite big claims, which is, the youngsters are coming into these programs with, multiple psychiatric diagnoses. And just the very fact of removing technology for 8 weeks is enough to mean that they're no longer meeting criteria for all these diagnoses of anxiety, depression, social phobias, ADHD. So there's different ways to manage this. I think if you've got a child at home and they're interacting with friends and schools, that going cold turkey is going to be tricky. I mean, the other thing I would say is a big part of that also probably is related to how the parents can manage their own reds of the child being in red. So, it's sort of that how to mindfully manage tantrums, recognizing that when you've got a child tantruming, that's going to activate your red dragon, and how do you co-regulate with the child when there's two red dragons? And Raquel, you had some great examples from your own parenting experience of, really noticing, pausing, turning the camera in, noticing that you were about to shout or get reactive, and then taking yourself off, activating the green dragon, have a shower, play some music, drink a glass of water so that you can come back into the conversation
Yeah.
in a more green mode. That makes it more likely that there can be an adult in the room having a conversation with a child that is effectively, they are distressed. Absolutely, they are distressed.
Yeah, the self-regulation, it's very important, very important. And sometimes it's harder than, yeah. But when you are green, we can make some rules or talk about it. Okay, if I'm too red, I'm going to do this, da, 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 because I need to come down and to really focus and think about a solution with you. Like this tea from time, I need some time. I think it's okay, I need some time. I'm going to the bathroom and, or have some water. Yeah.
I think there's some of just those basic parenting skills there. It's just everything's amplified with the technology, so boundaries and consequences. And with our busy lives, the blue of the doing, many parents are struggling with holding boundaries and implementing the consequences of when boundaries have been crossed, because it's much easier to just let everybody to distract. But that's when you need to go back to your core values. Yeah, because the core values hold the red in a different way, don't they? Because you can be really clear, like, I'm not doing this just because I want to fight with you. I'm not doing this because I'm a big meanie and I don't want you to have fun playing games. That's not the motivation of
And
why.
it can be a battle. It can be a battle.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other kind of comments or observations anybody wants to make? I think there's something there that people are asking about, different age groups. And I mean, even though if you check out the Royal College of Psychiatrists, there are some recommendations from various pediatric societies about screen time length. But from a kind of pure research perspective, I think the research on this is still in its infancy. So there's nothing really kind of hard and fast in our approach. And it depends on the child, depends on the family, depends on the circumstances, depends on the type of technology that's being used. There's so many variables. But I think the way that Raquel and I try to approach this is, how do we learn some core principles that can keep these conversations alive as the child develops, as technology develops? Because who knows what devices will be in our homes or in our heads, in the coming years, right? So it's not about the device and it's not necessarily about the age, but it's how do we cultivate a relationship with technology that's healthy? And how do we discuss and collaborate as a family to determine what that is? And the younger we can start that, the better. Would you add anything to that, Raquel? I mean, you had some good information about a study about ADHD and screen time and youngsters. I remember you mentioned that.
Yeah, because if we could, when you think about age, when someone asks about my recommendation, like as they are, how can I say in English? Sorry, but when they are really young, it's okay if you can open the technology for a child to talk to someone, like a relative who lives in a different place or another city. That's okay. It's about being in contact. It's about interactive relationships. But hold on, don't offer a technology or a cell phone or a smartphone if they are too young. So there is something about age that it's my red when I see a child in a restaurant that is too young, like 2 years, because we know that we have some studies saying about social medias and different social medias and some effects.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just think if there is another way to be relate with technologies. So if as they older they are, I think it's better to offer a technology.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if it's about the question or reflection, but it's my read about technology. Since my son was really young and he's 13 right now, when he was 2 or 3, we had this moment in a restaurant that a child was trying to interact with him, and the daddy was offering this iPad, and he didn't know that there was a child trying to interact with his child. So it's a red for me about technology. It's about interaction. It's about eye-to-eye contact, that it's so important for neurons and brain development. So
Yeah,
yes.
maybe I'm aware we've come to the end of our
Yeah.
time here. So I mean, I think, yeah, from a neuroscience perspective,
Perspective.
this developing human brain is an absolute miracle, and it's so highly plastic that if we really understood what the brain was doing, we would treat it like a Formula One car, and we wouldn't put, olive oil in the car to run it. We would put, the highest quality ingredients to support this brain and its development. And it's not to scare parents, but there is something about, we didn't know the consequences, so we're having to backtrack now.
Yeah.
And it's a bit that pulling off the plaster. There probably will be that moment of pain because we need to recalibrate, but it depends on your values, on your circumstances. And of course, for many parents, particularly single parents, technology does have a massive role to play in, like, give me 5 minutes to put the washing on, give me 10 minutes to, wash the dishes or have a shower or go to the toilet even. So it's not to judge, but let's try to find even those precious little micro moments when we can really value that connection and contact that we can have with our youngsters, and get really explicit with our values and the why. Why are we using this technology? To talk to grandma in Australia. Why are we using this technology?
Yeah, this pause to check intentions.
Pause to check intentions. Well, listen, thank you so much, Raquel, for
you.
your time and a great conversation. And for those
Thank
of you that
you.
have been contributing, I've still got more work to do on my box, but version 1 is there. And we wish you well and keep in touch. And thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.